Any emails over here?
Okay, we're on.
All right, good morning. It's 9 a.m. and we are going to open the special meeting of District 21 Board of Commissioners to discuss some RFA issues. And I will start with roll call. I'm Bruce Ansel.
Rich Bossman.
John, you're muted.
Todd Fisher.
John Crawford.
Jason Vanderveen. Here comes Commissioner McMurray.
Matt Paxton.
For the record, Matt Paxton is here on behalf of Richard Davis, who is taking a well-deserved vacation, I understand. And Commissioner McMurray is logging in. There she is. You're muted. Commissioner McMurray, you're there.
Morning.
Good morning. We just did roll call, so if you'd like to announce your presence.
Kimberly McMurray.
Thank you. All right, so we have a couple of things to talk about here today. As you know, at our last Planning Commission meeting, we were sort of stuck on governance. Now, even though we had agreed to a governance plan back in, I think we talked about it as early as October of last year. And then if I look at the minutes, definitely by November of last year, we had agreed as a planning commission to go with the 8-member board, and thought we were rolling on just fine until most recently when it was decided that that wasn't fair. And I know that they District 4 had a new commissioner come on board, and they had some new discussions, and perhaps not everybody was up to speed on how we got to where we were. But there was a suggestion that it wouldn't be fair to have 5 voting members from District 21 and 3 from District 4. And it seemed as though they I felt like at least Commissioner Andrews asked me, can we come up with an alternative solution? And that's the one that I brainstormed a little bit and sent out in a draft form, and also sent it to Commissioner Hanson at District 4. And we've had a couple of phone conversations since then, and then a couple of more communications. And I've forwarded all of that written communications to you for review. And so I just kind of like to go over that draft, and I'm see if I can find it. Sorry. We have a couple things. We've got that to talk about, and then we've got a draft ILA that Matt Paxton is going to walk us through, I think, in a little bit. So. So the quote counter proposal that's on the table that I'd like to discuss with you folks is how do we get rid of 2 commissioners, right? They want 3 and 3. We have a board of 5. They suggested that we somehow get rid of 3 or 2. They couldn't really say how we should do that, nor could they share how they would get rid of 1 if we asked them to do the same. So, we're all elected. Our constituents put us into this position. I'll speak first. It's my opinion that we have 3 times the area. We have 3 times the stations. We have 3 times the call volume. We have 3 times the assessed valuation, roughly, in all of these statements here. And So we represent 3 times the voting public. And I don't know that it's fair that we say we don't get at least an equal vote for the population that we have. It appears that there's some trust issues, that somehow we may rule on something that would be a disadvantage to the District 4 group, and without any specific examples, I'm having a hard time grasping that, because over the last 10 years, it's my understanding that there haven't been any significant issues. We haven't had a decrease in service level. We haven't taken away any staffing from there. If anything else, we've actually improved the staffing. And so what is the real issue here of trust to say that we're going to make some sort of egregious determination that would impact only the citizens in the what would be the former District 4 area if we form an RFA. My proposal was that we have 3 and 3 under normal, but we have 2 non-voting members, so all 5 of us would participate in the RFA board. And if there was a tie vote between those 3, then the 2 non-voting members would break that tie. And in my proposal, they would both have to vote. So we couldn't just bring one, and if only one could attend that day, we would wait and table the issue and allow those 2 members to add to the discussion and break any ties that we have. I think that's extremely fair. I'm not sure where they lie in that in discussion. Informally, it's been back and forth all over the board. Let's just keep with the 8 that we have. Let's do the 3 and 3. Let's do the veto thing. So we're throwing out all these ideas. But I think this is the counter proposal I have forwarded to you folks, and I'd like to hear your input on bringing that forward or not to the RFA board. Anyone?
Want me to speak first?
Sure.
I think it's definitely unnecessary. I didn't even think that we'd get to this point. I'm very frustrated we're at this point, but I'm looking at moving forward. So if this is something that we need to do, this is just another hurdle that's thrown up, then I say we clear this hurdle, move forward. But it's not really necessary that we've gotten to this point. So if it's necessary that we need to do this, I'm looking at moving forward, and we can go ahead and move forward and do this.
So are you in favor of their proposal that be just 3 and 3, or are you in favor of staying with the original 8, or are you in favor of saying, no, this is a compromise on our part, and this is kind of our position?
I'm looking at the draft proposal that you thrown out with, and I'm totally fine with that at this point. If that's what we need to do as a board to move forward from this point on to complete this RFA, I'm completely fine with that. But it's unnecessary. I want to get that on record. We shouldn't even gotten here because some people can't get away from the past. We need to move forward. So I'm fine with the counter proposal that you have sent. I understand that we haven't heard back from them, so I'm sure that we probably have that addressed this morning. So that's where I stand.
Thank you. Scott?
I agree with John. I'm in favor of moving forward and see three and with the 2 non-voting members breaking the tie. So let's throw it out there and listen to what D4 has to say.
Okay. Kimberly or Rich?
I agree with John and Scott that we shouldn't be in this place, but we want to do what we can to move forward. And I liked your draft that it addressed all, what if this, then that, what if this, then that, what if this, then that. And you kind of came at it with all angles covered so they can not find any more loopholes or try to keep derailing this.
Thank you. Rich?
Well, I'm in favor of the compromise solution. I think an issue that has been neglected in this whole process is the fact that we're responsible to the people who elected us to provide a good service with using the tax money that we're entrusted with. And all this wasted time that John was talking about, it costs money. It costs money for attorneys. It costs money for time. It takes our chief away from what he should be doing. We should not be to this point. It's time to end all this bait and switch game and endless debate. And I say we produce this or promote this compromise solution and basically draw a line in the sand with it.
Matt, you've seen my draft proposal here, and I've spoken with your office and Richard Davis specifically as to whether or not there's any legal, ramifications of doing it this way. It's my understanding that as a governance board, we can decide how this works. That there's no legal statute that says, oh, you've got 2 non-voting members that somehow become voting members if there's a tie. If we agreed and wrote that in, there's no state statute or laws that would preclude us from being able to do that. Is that correct?
That is correct. The RFA statute is pretty loose in terms of what is required in the plan in terms of governance. The plan ultimately gets voted on, and the governance structure in the plan dictates. There are some limitations, like if you have more than a certain number of board members, you need to stagger the terms, which you have done. But in terms of non-voting members, that certainly happens on RFA governing boards. I've never seen the tiebreaker situation, but there's nothing in the law that precludes something like that getting drafted and put into the RFA plan.
Okay, so I mean, I've heard that both sides don't think we'd ever get in that situation where we would need a tiebreaker, and I agree with that. But as soon as you say we'll never need one, guess what? We come to a place where we do, and I think Chief, you had given an example to me this past week of you've got an important thing you've got to move forward. Let's say it's voting on the collective bargaining agreement or something like that. We have to approve that as a board, and for some reason we've got this crazy split 3-3, and now we've got a labor group sitting out there going, when are you going to ratify our contract? How do we break that tie? It was suggested that the chief do that. That's not statutorily legal, and so it was my thought is, let's have a way to solve this, and move on. It appears that there is an underlying issue that keeps driving all of these ways to change what we're doing, and I think if you've reviewed the last communication from Commissioner Hansen and D4 about job descriptions and outsourcing, how we choose the chief's administrative staff, et cetera, that I think we're drilling down into what one of the key issues is. And I guess I would like to hear them tell us that, rather than just say we don't trust you. There has to be some issue that is driving this. I think we've been upfront and forward all along. I don't know that we have made any decisions as a board that has negatively impacted the service to District 4. And historically, and I know there's been a lot of turnover on their board, several board chairs in the near past. People have moved out of the district. They've had to replace people. They've got a new commissioner on board right now. They're getting him up to speed. It's just, in the midst of all that, we've continued to provide service and do what's best for the communities. And in the past, we've invited their members to attend our meetings, and even have invited them into executive sessions when we've talked about key issues and been very open and transparent. So I'm struggling with the trust issue statement personally. And I guess I would hope that they can enlighten us on what that is later today. So does anyone have any comments on what was relayed to me as far as the 3 administrative job descriptions that appear to have come from North Shore Fire? And I know it's fairly standard in the industry to talk to other departments and ask what they're using. And I know that those were just examples that were sent out for us to look at and consider. But my concern is, it appears that we're trying to craft some things that may have outside influence to the process. We have authorized the chief through his contract and job description to be the person that hires and fires for our district. And I am fully in support of having good job descriptions and good qualifications. I know that sometimes in the workplace industry, and Rich or Kimberly, you may be able to speak to this, that and I think we've done it in our last at least the most recent hiring process for entry-level firefighter is, sometimes the person that scores 100 on the test and has a 14-page list of classes and things that they've taken, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're the best fit for our organization. And I'm not trying to say that they aren't smart people and they're not good at getting those certifications, but do they fit into our organizational model? And so maybe Rich or Kimberly, is there ever been an experience with you in the workplace where maybe the most credentialed person wasn't the best fit for the organization?
Absolutely. That's why you do verbal face-to-face interviews. And it's interesting that we're talking about trust, because one of the questions that I ask to a potential employee, number one is, can you work with the team? Are you a team player? And number two, can we trust you? If we give you confidential information, can we trust you? And can we trust you to come forward if you need help? Those are trust issues and teamwork issues that you can't put on paper. You have to do. And so to stay strictly, it's by the paper. No, I don't know, Kimberly, if you have any input on that.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. I've worked in different environments as well, where highly credentialed people, certifications, experience, everything you want for the position, but did not fit with the team at all. It was a puzzle piece that just never fit in with the rest of the dynamics. And it's of huge importance because you have to be able to be a team to work together and have personalities that fit, so you can get your jobs done efficiently, effectively, and to the best of your abilities.
All right. Anyone else, John or Scott?
Well, Bruce, I'm going to speak for Scott here. Scott and I have seen the same thing. I mean, basically working together for 30 plus years, we had people come and go. Some of them fit, some did not fit. So you got to be able to trust the people that you work with. Otherwise, it's a hard road to work a shift with those people. And Scott and I have both seen that in the past. So
Yeah, and I mean, we've been through a lot of personnel in all areas of our organization, even since I've been here, and I think we've worked real hard to create a positive environment, and I compliment the chief for stepping up and taking charge of that. You could say we did that with the fire chief, Rich, correct? I mean, we chose not to go to a national search. We looked internally for a candidate that we felt had strong leadership skills, that was well respected, that may not have been super credentialed, but has the opportunity to get that done, but has the moral, ethical, work ethic, trust, etc., that we were looking for in the leader of our department. And I think it was a great decision. And I give Rich you compliments for bringing Chief Vanderveen to us as a potential candidate, and extremely pleased with how he's doing, and don't want to tie his hands in selecting the team that's going to best suit his management style. So, anyone else on that? Matt, we also have had a document and an ILA crafted to assure that if this moves forward, that we all kind of stay status quo, I guess, right? That if we are moving forward, we would not make any significant changes without the other parties knowing, i.e. this then becomes part of our financial burden. If, say, for instance, District 21 goes out and says, oh yeah, we're gonna, buy a bunch of stuff or hire too many people than we can afford to pay for, or decide to give the chief a huge pay raise, or some, all those kinds of things that could happen in between, agreeing to form this ILA and it going to the voters and being approved, and then we get the official board. So would you mind walking us through that thought process?
Yeah, that's right. The board did some due diligence throughout this process to confirm that the District 4 would be a compatible partner. A lot of that looks at financials and employment matters, and things change, right? That there's nothing set in stone. These organizations have to evolve during the planning process, which I understand might not. This might not be done until October 1st. That's the goal here. So in between now and October 1st, if the RFA is successful, the thought is that we want to, as closely as we can, maintain the status quo. That is with respect to primarily things that affect your budget, employment agreements, the number of employees, what you have in your reserves, debt that you might take on, changes in existing obligations and contracts, any other liabilities. So our thought is that there could be an agreement in place between the districts to maintain the status quo, to not substantially add to that. There's, it's spelled out in the agreement itself, but the intent is just to keep the two entities similar when you go into that October 1 RFA, if that's in fact where we end up.
Did everyone get a chance to review that document? Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Are there any specific questions that anyone has that maybe Matt can address, or does it seem straightforward to everyone?
Straightforward to me. I'm just kind of curious how they're going to accept it.
Yeah, well, again, we can say we trust each other. Unfortunately, sometimes we have to put all that stuff in writing, and this is just a way to say, we're not gonna make any significant changes, nor would we want them to do the same, especially as Matt suggested, we don't want to incur any unknown debt. We decide that, oh yeah, we're gonna go, remodel a station and get that rolling before the RFA is formed and encumber ourselves to $10 million worth of debt. I would think if I was District 4, I'd go like, I don't know that we want to be involved in that. We didn't agree to that. So I think, I'm going to ask you guys if that's okay, that if at the time, if we decide we're going to move forward with the RFA process, and I think that's going to hinge on our governance compromise, then we would move forward with this document as well. So,
Commissioner Ansel, if I could.
Sure.
We do need, Matt, we need to clean up number 3, reserves. Currently says each party agrees to maintain its existing level of reserves. We have some capital outlays and apparatus that's going to affect reserves. Those were seen by, approved by District 21 and seen by District 4 prior to, this agreement. So if there's a way we can carve out that existing capital outlay, money could be removed from, whether it's apparatus, apparatus reserve would be the big one. And we could maybe just state that would be the one reserve account that could be affected.
Yeah, we can do that, no problem. I assume that District 4's attorney may have some edits as well. So this might not be the exact version that gets passed, but I think it addresses the key issues that we're dealing with.
Okay.
Yeah, and I again, I'm not the legal person here, and if it's not written, I guess it doesn't exist. But I think the intent is look, what we have going on right now is what we will continue to have going on, and nothing new or additional that wasn't already either in our budget plan or our hiring plan. We will have vacancies in the firefighter positions, and we cannot not fill those. And I think this would address that you would have the ability to fill those positions to maintain the level of service that we currently enjoy. So, but again, that's probably up for attorneys to make sure that those details are addressed. But I think it's important that we point that out. So, okay, we have also I guess if this ILA doesn't move forward, we have, I guess, some issues to address as well, and that's what happens to our existing agreement. And District 4 has given us a notice of intent to terminate the ILA effective of December of 2021. So if things go south, then we're going to have to work on either the dissolution of this working agreement per their request, and decide how they're going to move forward in January of 2022. And I don't know, Matt, what that entails. I've been told that there's quite a process that goes through to unravel this engagement, or is it similar to, you know, identifying equipment and stuff and returning that and moving forward? Or I guess another option is to extend the existing agreement, or to change how we do that. I know, Chief, you have stated that perhaps we would enter into a month-by-month contract, or something that would actually pay the actual cost of providing that service, since we aren't getting reimbursed 100% for the service that we're supplying to that portion of the district. Matt, I guess my question to you is what's the process?
Well, I understand that right now the district provides all the fire and emergency services for District 4. It would be on District 4 primarily to build up its staff, and if transferring the assets back is not a big deal. The challenge is for District 4 to be operationally ready to take on calls, because if there's a call in District 4 that District 4 can't handle it, I don't think the chief is going to not send folks there, right? The district will still respond. The question is, you know, what is that mutual aid relationship? How quickly can it be built? We wouldn't expect that would take quite some time. So interim agreements, temporary, month to month, something like that may just be necessary, because we're in April now. The end of that agreement is near, and so there would need to be a negotiation, some collaboration with the district to make sure that they're prepared should this agreement end and the RFA not form, on what that response would look like and how District 21 would be involved.
Bruce, it might not be a bad idea to go ahead and get a copy of the county-wide mutual aid agreement before we start talking about what we can and cannot do and what services we will provide in case things don't go well.
And I'm sure the chief would be able to find that if needed. I'm just hoping we don't have to need that. So you know, we've all committed to moving this RFA process forward and being open and transparent, and hopefully we can uncover what specific issue is stopping this at this point. So so kind of where I'm at here right now is our counter proposal of the governance. I'm hearing that our board is in favor of moving that as our sort of last ditch position. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
So
Yes.
perhaps we could have a motion that memorializes that this board is giving direction to the Planning Commission to bring that proposal forward in an effort to compromise on the originally agreed upon 8-member board that we had talked about in the plan earlier.
So moved.
Second.
Does that make sense, Matt, legally? I don't want to mess up this. It's just a direction, but it I think would demonstrate that it's a direction of our whole board to do this, not just maybe one person acting, or 3 actually people acting on that planning commission without the consent of our whole board.
That's fine.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. And then the interlocal agreements, if we decide that we are moving forward, is our board okay with sending that draft out for their legal review and consideration?
Yes.
So is there a motion to move forward with that interlocal agreement if we move forward with the RFA planning process?
So moved.
If we move forward, correct.
Second.
Any other discussion? And you've made a clarification, John, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. All right, I think, Chief, is there anything else that you see necessary to address now before we get ready for our 10 o'clock meeting?
No, sir. I think we're good.
Matt, is there anything we're forgetting here?
Nope.
All right. If anyone else have any comments or concerns? All right, hearing and seeing none, I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. See the planning committee at 10 o'clock. John, are you attending that meeting today?
See you in 20 minutes.
All right, and Rich, are you still an alternate today, or are you
Yes.
encumbered? All right, Kimberly, thank you for your time. And I guess we'll see you at our next meeting. Not
Okay.
today, but our
Well-
next board meeting.